I know that there will be no Bad Rep Book Club this month. There will be one at the end of next month, so there will be 3 videos at the end, the last week of the month. Or a bit probably just be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, basically being wrap up of the first 50 Shades, wrap up of the second, and then the actual review of the third.
I forgot to tell you. Yeah. I lied!
Hi, hello, and welcome, or welcome back, I suppose. Yes, I've been gone a while, but literally, who cares? I say this because whenever I have watched a YouTube video and they go, oh my god, I've been gone for so long and you want to know exactly why. No, you don't. Unless it is a big life update or something, like I suddenly go, I'm pregnant. I'm not. But if I suddenly did that, then maybe you go, oh, that's interesting. It's not interesting. I've been buggering about for a few months trying to make my brain work. It's not been, but it's been working better than it was the last time you saw me. So that's all you're getting. I did exactly what I said I wasn't going to do. But anyway, look, I know I said I'd be coming back with Bad Rep Book Club, but basically when I was going over the first 50 Shades and, you know, trying to do that quick plot synopsis type that, well, quick, but doing a plot synopsis in the way that I did with the Twilight rundown, I was just going, oh god, yeah, this is why this book was hell for me the first time round, but somehow it felt worse. And I just went, I can't do a rundown and just give you the third book. I have to do the full trilogy, full Bad Rep Book Club. This camera angle is sideways. Hopefully that's better. Probably not. But when has my shot ever been normal? Absolutely never. So, brain, back to where you're going. Yeah, so basically at some point in the future you're gonna get full Bad Rep Book Club on 50 Shades with some added bonus features that are not just featuring me. You are not going to be seeing anybody else, but you are going to be hearing from somebody who might be able to help me in certain ways. But I will get to that at the end. I have already been rambling for a few minutes now, and you are here for an actual book review. Oh, quick side note though, because I don't think when I wrote the script, which was weeks ago by the way, I've been procrastinating. I don't think I mentioned it in my script, so I'm going to say it now. I do still have a Bad Rep Book Club coming up that I am currently working on, but it's not 50 Shades because I just wanted to put that off. And I found this TikTok type book, I'll say that much, and went, that looks like dog shit, and then ordered it off like my library request for a bit, and it's arrived, and I looked, oh, I'm like a chapter in, and going, oh, that's my next Bad Rep Book Club, because at this point the Bad Rep thing is mostly just a name. It just means that I'm looking at books that are popular and bad, or that they're like the kind of, what book did I look at that wasn't actually that bad, but it has a really bad rep? Eat, Pray, Love. It's just a bit wanky and middle class, but it's not that bad. Books like that it's like, this is one of the worst books you'll ever read, and it's just like, it's just a bit up itself. Anyway, book reviews. You don't come here for me to make any sense and me to stay on track. But what are we talking about today? Today we are talking about the one, the only Junji Ito. I think it was around this time last year. At least it was like within the first half of the year, I think. Because I feel like it was relatively early in the channel's era. In the channel's life, that I read some Ito for the first time. So we've had some time to relax, which I needed, by the way. Fuck me, the last Junji Ito book that I read was Uzumaki, so yeah, too fucking right, I needed a break after that. So I was in my local library, and as I always am, because that's where I do all my fucking work, and I was browsing the comic and manga section, and I happened upon quite a good collection of Junji Ito novels that I haven't read yet, and I thought, bugger it, we'll pick those up. And that is what we have today. So we have 4 books to be looking at. We are not going in depth with these reviews. These are relatively, like, me style short reviews, but still giving you just enough to know my thoughts, my feelings, and all that jazz. And I'm sure we'll be going on some tangents, because it's me, and I always do. Anyway, it's been like 5 minutes. Let's roll the intro. I am just going to be reviewing these in the order that I read them, because it was the easiest way for me to script it, because I could just go pretty chronologically through my notebook. There is no special order, it's just the way I read them. So first up, we have Censor. Like I said, I've taken some time away from Junji Ito, partly because I hadn't really seen much at my library, and well, I'd seen 1 or 2, but I was just like, I need a break a little bit longer. And then by the time I've been going, oh yeah, wait, no, I want to read some more, I've not seen them in there. Of course, that's always how it works. But when I saw this collection, I was like, yeah, we've taken enough time. And after my break, I'm really glad that this was the first one that I came back to, because if you know anything about Junji Ito, you really do go in expecting just remarkably visceral horror. I mean, I'm not saying this book is... One day I will replace my tripod, but today is not that day. So, should I put my lights on? Oh, I have to go on my phone for that though, because I don't know where my remote is. Hopefully it stays light out. What time is it? Yeah, we'll be fine. We say that now. Anyway, brain. So, yeah. I went into this expecting the usual Junji Ito style psychological bullshit. No. Visual bullshit. And instead, what I got was far more psychological. And I am really glad about that for my first book going back in, because if you have read Uzumaki, you know that the horror, much of it comes from that visual side. I mean, this is a visual novel, as are all of his works as far as I'm aware. I believe he is purely a graphic novelist. I don't believe he's written any prose. I am happy to be corrected. But, point is, yes, it's all visual, but in books, say, like Uzumaki, the horror mostly does come from what you see, rather than the stuff that's going on up here, that sort of sinking feeling that may come at times. You know, we do have 1 or 2 instances in this of that, like, visual, like, there's only so many ways there's only so many ways I can explain this, but like I said, there are 1 or 2 instances of that. I am looking at something that honestly I'd rather I wasn't looking at right now. Fuck me, why did I choose to read this again? But mostly it's inside the mind. This is a book that covers that kind of... The human brain can only handle knowing about so much. And I don't mean in that kind of... What was that god-awful Scarlett Johansson film? Lucy? Is that what it was called? Where it's like playing on that stupid bloody... You only have power of 2% of your brain, but if you unlock more, you'll become wonderful and a magician and a big fucking superhero. It's absolute nonsense. But this is more looking at that kind of... The best way I can describe it is if you are a Doctor Who fan and you know of the Donna storyline, kind of topical given that she is going to be back soon, but it's soon, in like 6 fucking months. But anyway, you know, her storyline being that she has all this knowledge of the universe in her head all of a sudden and she can't take it, she has to have that shit wiped, right? This is playing on that kind of thing of like, the human brain cannot handle cosmic level knowledge, and I always, possibly because of that Doctor Who storyline originally, I've always really enjoyed stuff about that, because I do just find the idea that it's like, the brain isn't meant to understand that shit. It's like the idea that when you try and think about the size of the universe and stuff like that, it's like you can't. Your brain just goes, big. The opening of Hitchhiker's Guide does it best, you know, space is big, very big. Or is it the universe is big, very big? I've not read that in a really long time. I should go back to it at some point. But anyway, I just love that sort of stuff, and it's also taking a peek at some cult type stuff, not really in depth. That stuff isn't super focused on the idea of cults, though if Junji Ito does have stuff going into the sort of cult side of things with like the psychology like this, looking at the psychological effects of cults and stuff, can somebody let me know, because I would love that shit, because I know that he would do it really well. Obviously, cults are terrifying, and the fact that they appear in such mundane ways, like multi-level marketing schemes are basically commercial cults, that's just like, I would say this is one of those books that is a good place to start if you've never read Junji Ito before, and you've always gone, but I don't want to dive headfirst into loads of visceral horror right in front of my eyes. You get a taste of it in this, and while it's been a while since I've read Tomy, and you see how much I read, so forgive me if that is just super constant visual visceral horror, but I don't remember it being super constant. More than this, but less than the safe option here is to say Uzumaki, right? I feel like this or Tomy are good places to start, because you're not being bombarded with it, or it's not his most nasty stuff. Like, sometimes there are just visuals that, even if it's not like constant, like you turn a page, oh god, it's more, certain visuals just stick with you, and I don't think you're going to get that here. And yeah, if you're looking for that beginner's guide to Junji Ito, this would be a good place to start. So this was Censor, just as a friendly reminder at the end, because I know I ramble on a shit ton. So yeah, Censor, a good place to start, and possibly one of my favourite Junji Ito novels so far, apart from Tomy, because Tomy is my favourite. I love it so much. I don't know what it is about that one, but that one really got me. But so did this one. Again, psychological elements, just mwah. Mwah, mwah. Beautiful, you know? Next up, we have Fragments of Horror, a short story collection. Now, we do have another short story collection coming up later, where I will be covering all of the stories within it, because there are only 4, but there are more in here. These are, well, fragments of horror, so they're much shorter, therefore you're getting more stories. So I will be covering a fair whack of them, but I won't be covering all of them. First up, we have the first story in the collection. I feel like it's always correct to talk about how a short story collection or a poetry collection, that sort of thing, opens, because especially with this being like, this one in particular is a really short story. It's like 5 to 10 pages ish, if that. It's a really short story. It is flash fiction, and I don't know how flash fiction works in terms of graphic novel, comic type stuff, but to me, I would say this is flash fiction, right? This isn't my area of expertise, but anyway, this is your introduction to everything else, to the collection. this is letting you know what things are going to be like going forward. And I know I sound like I'm talking about real basics here, but I like to talk about this from somebody who does know about writing. Have I been published? Yes. Are all of the places that I have been published in now having to close down? Or have closed down? Also, yes. But it's fine, I can edit those pieces and have them published elsewhere now. I think if they're no longer a company, I would have to ask how that works. Because the rights are mine, so I think that's fine. Because as soon as it gets published, the rights go back to me. Anyway, that's thoughts for another time. Where was I? Yeah, I like to talk about writery type things, and if you are writing a short story collection, a poetry collection, anything like that, any kind of, why did I want to go for the word compendium? Any kind of collection, then you obviously want your first story in the same way that if you're writing a longer piece of fiction, you want that first line, perhaps your first sort of page, paragraph, the early section of your book to bring people in. It sounds obvious, but people don't. People sometimes just go for, you're in the story, but not in like a bam, you're here, and then we pull back or whatever. It's just like, they start with the kind of mundanity you get in some stories. And mundanity can be fine, but it's, you know, the stuff that gets you from A to B. But don't start with that. Unless your book is truly going to be like a book that gets you from A to B to C. It's meant to be a bit mundane completely. But even then, you still want even if it's not flashy and big and bold, you still want a catchy opening section. And I've been here for 20 minutes. Oopsies! Anyway, this certainly does that. It is an incredibly short piece of flash fiction that fucking bang, here you are, you're in a Junji Ito novel. Because I read Censor before. I read 2 or 3 of these on one day. I think I read like 2.5. No, I think I read 3 of these on one day, and I read the last one the day after, because I find graphic novels generally pretty easy to read in a day, or not even a day. Like, graphic novels are pretty easy to get, because it's, you know, you've got stuff without words, and it's not exactly like you're reading whole paragraphs of shit. Anyway, getting off topic. So I had just read Censor before this, taken maybe a 5-minute break, and then go right on to the next one, because that's what I've got to do sometimes to, like, get a bunch of stuff done in one go. The point of this was I was meant to be getting it all done quickly, and then going, right, get the video out, and then I didn't, because it's me. It's been weeks, you're falling over again. Right, okay, so I had just finished Censor, 5-minute break, and then I get into this short story, and then pff, there's all the shit that you'd forgotten Junji Ito does. Oh, fucking hell. It's just like the most, again, I'm going to use this word a lot. Take a sip of water every time I say visual, psychological, and visceral. Take a shot every time I say those words, and of water, and then do the same thing every time I get off track, and then just like keep chugging water like for every minute that passes while I'm off track. This is just like bang. This is a way to get you into a Junji Ito collection. Like, if you are somebody who goes, I want to dive into the deep end, but I'm not somebody who wants to go in for that like long story. I want to get into what Junji Ito is, but I don't want to maybe commit to a full novel yet. This would be a good place to start, because you are introduced to exactly what he can do within, like I say, about 5 pages. Because when it comes to flash fiction, this is, you know, flash fiction, but it's like getting flash banged. Next up, we have Wooden Spirit. What a weird fucking story. Jesus Christ. There's just this one scene that for some reason will not escape from my memory banks. So Minami, the antagonist, she is set up from the beginning to not just be like antagonistic, but to be like a bit of a freak. And I don't mean freak as in like, ooh, ugly buggly, terrifying, spooky, freaky creature. I mean like, she kind of nasty. Ooh, she a bit of a freak. Why am I talking? What am I doing? So, she's set up as a fucking weirdo, right? And then, sorry if I am reading from my script. Does it feel natural? No, but you all know I'm talking from a script, and I sound better when I am. So I'm just going to look down, because I want to make sure I'm relaying this properly without getting sidetracked. So, we have Madoka, daughter of the guy that's been, like, lured in by Minami. And Madoka, this girl, she heads up into the attic because she's heard all this noise. And she's like, okay, what the fuck is this? Let's go investigate. And I just didn't expect those visuals. There's all the horror, terrifying, what the fuck is that bullshit later on. But just the scene where she goes into the attic really took me by surprise, and it's deeply unsettling. 10 out of fucking 10. Because it's just like, oh, okay, you can't get jump scared in a book, right? That feels like the equivalent. And again, not jump scared in that. Ah, what the fuck is that? Oh, Jesus, that shouldn't be twisted in that kind of way. Your body can't go in that direction. Nope, just weird. Just like, oh, didn't expect that. Right then. I mean, I'm not a prude, but do you have to do that? Like, in front of me? Absolutely wonderful. It's probably one of my favourite short stories in this collection. Next, we have Tomio, Red Turtleneck. And where Wooden Spirit had a scene where I was just like, oh, that was a surprise. That will live in my brain for a while. This had a scene that will live in my brain because it made me want to peel my fucking skin off. You know when you're watching a film and there are those scenes where it's not like bashing someone's head in kind of violence. It's really subtle little things, like someone being, usually say like a torture scene or something like that. Like, I don't know if you're watching a spy movie or something, or, well, there's torture films as well, but not my bag. But the sort of thing where they're doing something that you can feel that kind of thing. Like, the idea of, like, pulling nails off and things like that. Those sorts of things where you, like, feel it in that part of your body. There's this, yeah, I wanted to peel my skin off in this fucking reading this one, because it was just like, I don't want to have sensations in my body anymore. There's just, I'm not going to describe it because I want you to be able to go into this book, and the same way that I didn't want to describe the Wooden Spirit scene, it's a ooh in that one, and this one's a and I was in the library. I can't be doing that, but I was just like, I could feel my body going deep fucking breaths, just deep breaths. It's just, I feel like I need 3 to 5 business days of recovery time for this. Like, all I will say is there is a scene with a card and a cockroach, and I wish it didn't exist. I went into again, now that I finish this, I will probably take another break from Junji Ito. It might not be another, like, year or so this time, but still, I'm still going to be taking a break because of scenes like this. Because, again, you know, it's the stuff that just makes you go, I don't want, I chose to read this, I know, but also, I have a friend who likes she loves horror films, right? Which I'll never fully understand. Horror films, not my thing. Because they could just rely on jump scares and shit, and I hate that. I hate being made jump. It is one of my worst sensation feeling things. If somebody makes me jump, I want to fucking kick them, right? If they do accidentally, fine. And I have nearly kicked somebody for making me jump on purpose. I can't control my fight or flight, right? But with horror films, but watching a scene like this, there are certain films that I have watched with her that I felt like this, and it felt like I was being made to sit through this, and it's so good. Like, that's how you do horror, man. If I want to watch horror, or I want to read horror, like, I want to absorb it in some fucking way, I want to be able to have an actual experience beyond the fear, right? So it's why I actually really love comedy horror. I think that always works so well. I thought Megan was really fun. I love Hot Fuzz, and there's a scene in Hot Fuzz. That film's like 15 plus years old now, so I don't really fully matter. The scene with that is all I'll say, because it's towards the end, fine, it's spoilers, but like that sort of shit, right? And they play it up for last, but that could obviously be played not so much for that. And yeah, I like feeling a sensation rather than just, that was spooky. I want to be able to be there with them, and I like that sort of, again, psychological type shit. And this hit me, and I didn't like it, but I did, because yeah, fuck me, man. Yeah, that's fine, that's how you write horror. Why do I do this to myself? It's bloody good fiction, but like, it feels like I'm putting myself through something. Gentle Goodbye is not so much horror. It is tragically beautiful, and I had a little cry, which isn't new. If you've been on this channel for any length of time, you know I cry really fucking easily. I will cry at anything. But this, yeah, it wasn't what I expected when I was going in. I was expecting more spooky kind of stuff, like lighter horror, if that makes sense, where it's like I'm not being frightened by the sort of horrible, twisty, turny, ugly, bugly stuff. Something just touched my hair. Or I am not being made to feel like I want to pull my skin off, or like my brain is going, hang on, wait, no, that's bad. This one just, it's really mellow, and I was expecting kind of something a bit spooky, like not light-hearted, but you know, a softer horror. I wouldn't call this horror. I would call it, again, tragic as fuck, but so beautiful. And yeah, it's an absolutely fantastic story. Finally, for this collection, we're going to talk about Dissection Chan. Now, Wooden Spirits, very good, possibly one of my favourites, but not my favourite. Dissection Chan, absolutely my favourite. I didn't know, or at least I can't really remember seeing Junji Ito do this much intentional comedy. I have seen some funny parts of his stories. I feel like there's some humour in Tomi, if I remember correctly. I'm happy to be corrected on that one, but this story is so fucking funny. Obviously in that way that makes you go, oh, I shouldn't be laughing at that. That's not right. But it got a good giggle out of me. When you're laughing, it feels like you shouldn't be, but it definitely feels intentional, if that makes sense. Like, it's all just madness, and it is, oh, it's so good. I kind of wish this is how the collection ended, because I feel like that would be such a good way to wrap it. But maybe that's just me wanting something, not lighthearted, but something a bit more just like, just give me a bit of something at the end, man. But doesn't matter, still my favourite from the collection. So fucking good. I just, yeah, you don't see it super often, Junji Ito delving into comedy, and of course when he does, this is what you're getting. You are getting a girl who keeps coming back to life so she can get, well, not coming back to life, but like, yeah, this is where it has been a few weeks and I should have reviewed it quicker, but she keeps just wanting to be dissected all of the time, and that's what she loves. It's her favourite, it's her, like, thing, if you know, it's her thing. She just wants to be dissected all the time. She fucking loves it, and it's so funny. She's just like, please, I medically need to get... And she just, like... she shows up as a cadaver. Like, you know when students... like, medical students have to cut open cadavers. She just lies there, stock still, pretending to be a cadaver so she can be cut open. That's funny as fuck. Like, that's so camp. To me, that's camp. Somebody pretending to be a dead body because their favourite thing is to be dissected. That's so ridiculous. That's like some Divine type shit. Like, some... is it John Waters? Or John... yeah. Who... yeah, worked with Divine. All that nonsense. It feels like some shit like that, and it's so good. Black Paradox is what we have next. This is our next book, and it is a full graphic novel rather than being a short story collection. Though I would still call them graphic novels, but for the sake of ease, it's a full-length story rather than a collection of short full-length stories. Listen, soon enough, I'll get back into the flow of this, but for now... have some patience. Now, I'm not going to be delving too much into this topic in particular, but before you go in, it is worth you knowing that this book is explicitly linked throughout, especially for the first, I would say, third of it. It's explicitly linked to the topic of suicide. The premise is that they are making a pact together, so if that is something that you can't really see coverage of, this is a book to skip. But I think a lot of people who do dive into horror and stuff like that are generally going to be a bit more sort of aware that they have to do looks into what they're reading for that sort of thing. So I'm aware that most of you who are likely to look into these sort of things are going to do a bit of your own research, but I feel it would not be correct of me to mention this book without just having a quick heads up. By the way, these kind of topics are being raised. Now, this, like Censor, is generally more delving into psychological elements, perhaps not surprising given the premise. Again, that's not to say, and more than in Censor, that's not to say that there isn't the stuff that makes you go, oh, no, I don't like that. And I'll be totally honest, this isn't necessarily one of my favourites that I've read of Junji Ito's, but I'm still able to go, obviously from a critical perspective, this is still a fantastic piece of work. If you like Junji Ito, you will probably like this. Just for me, of the other stuff that I've read, it's not my favourite. If I had read this first, I would still want to read more Junji Ito. It just so happens that in the stuff that I've read, it's not my favourite. I am going in circles. This is why I should stick to my script instead of using it as a baseline. Because, like, the thing is, there's something half annoying about Junji Ito's books. Because even with this, not necessarily one of my favourites, but despite all of the fucking horrors that you are presented with, be them psychological, be them visually visceral, you're just hooked in. Once you start, you don't want to fucking stop. And yes, I'm aware, obviously, oh, but Autumn, this is one of the greatest horror novelists of not just our generation, but of many generations, possibly one of the greatest horror novelists of all time. I'm aware of that, obviously, but from a me perspective, and I am the reviewer, so my perspective is right here, right now, the one that fucking matters, right? For me, I'm somebody, like I pointed out, I don't watch a lot of horror films. I am, if anything, kind of made to watch them by one of my friends. The only time I watch, like, it is so rare that I will go, yes, that seems like the only horror film I can think of. Again, I think I did mention this. What the fuck is she doing? Again, I think I did mention this film earlier. I think the only horror film that I can think of that came out within the past few years that I went, oh, I actually do want to watch that, is Megan, because it's a fucking comedy horror. Like 99% of the time, even if somebody goes, but it's a classic, or somebody goes, but it's so good, I go, no, I don't want to watch that. But if my one particular friend goes, we're having a movie night, we're going to watch something that'll fuck you up, I go, yeah, alright, because you lot are going to fucking suffer with me. But I choose to read Junji Ito on my own, from recommendations. There was a particular friend that I had at university, who often, when we had our book club type stuff, she would often recommend, if I remember rightly, it was Uzumaki that she recommended, or Junji Ito, like, as a wider author to recommend. But I remember Uzumaki being the one that sticks in my head as one that she'd recommended before. And I was like, yeah, I should read that at some point, because it sounds fucking weird, right? And I find horror novels, be it graphic or prose or anything like that, I do find that easier than movies. Perhaps because it's easier to take a break. But I find it so weird that I get hooked in by Junji Ito. Even in this. Even in a book that isn't necessarily my favourite. I'm just hooked in. And I find that so magical. And I'm smiling about horrible bullshit. This is what he does. It's just... And we are wrapping up with The Liminal Zone, another short story collection, but given that there are only four short stories here, we are going to be covering all of them. And we are just going to be relatively quickly running through these because they are longer short stories. I don't want to spend too much time on each one because these are the sort of thing where it goes, you should experience these for yourself, right? So first up we have Weeping Woman Way, which is just bizarre. Like, obviously that's not unusual in the context of what we're reading, right? We're reading. You might be in the future, but I'm reading. It's not unusual to have something bizarre, but this is bizarre in that kind of wooden spirit way, not in that kind of you're in my brain and you're scaring me, or what the fuck is that in front of me? Human bodies don't look like that. How did you make it do that? Just in a... What? What? Sorry? Kind of way, where you're just looking and it's confusion, but obviously brilliant. And I think as well, I don't know if there are places that still do this, or if this is still a thing anywhere, but I find the idea of professional mourners, like at funerals and stuff, I find that so fascinating. I love that that's a thing. So usually, I believe it's usually for people who are either not exactly popular, or it's for people who are like upper echelons of society and they really need people to be like out in droves and have it look like there are people out indoors. But I believe it is generally for people who are a bit unpopular and it needs to make their funeral look a bit like more full. For whatever reason. Be it a spiritual thing, so you need to have a huge mass of people or something, but they just have them cry. Like, you get paid to cry at people's funerals. That's such a fucking weird profession to me, and I think that's fascinating. Like, it's not exactly one of those things where I've gone on some deep dive and looked at weeping women, because I believe it is usually women, the professional mourners, probably because they're crying and women are allowed to and all that sort of bullshit, right? But, I think it's so, like, you're just getting paid to cry at people's funerals. I'd do it. If I don't know them, I'd cry at somebody's fucking funeral. It's not hard to make me cry. I would probably cry if you put me in any given funeral, even if I have never met or heard of that person in my life. If you need me to be a professional mourner, I'll do it. Pay me. I'm trying to get new Joy-Cons. Mine have got drift. Unsurprisingly, this is a really interesting take on the idea of the professional mourners and weeping women and all of that, and there's a lot of... Will you stop scraping on my notebook, please? Thank you, Mr. Wire. Don't pull on that one. Fam. Anyway. Yeah, this is obviously a really interesting take on the idea of professional mourners and just the weird places that Junji Ito will take something like that, and it's just, yeah, it's brilliant. Not necessarily my favourite of the collection, but still fantastic. Next up, we have Madonna. Now, of the four, this would probably rank number 2. I wouldn't know where to put 3 and 4. Like, I think it would be Weeping Woman Way, and then the last one we'll talk about, I think that would be number 4. The next one we're going to talk about, spoiler alert, is my favourite, but this one, yeah, I think it would rank number 2. It's brilliant, and I like that this is the sort of thing where I noticed seeds being planted, and I like feeling like a little clever boy, because I am a little clever boy. Look at me, I'm so handsome and so clever. Look at me. Anyway, fuck around about script, help me out. Yeah, basically with this one, that I did get really engrossed with it and struggled to take notes. Same with the next one, to be honest. It just got me in such a way. I just, listen, religious horror, it either works well or it works fucking awfully. This one works super well. There's the idea of salt being brought in early on, and that ticked something in my brain, and I just thought, ooh, wait, no. And it was. I was right. And I just, ugh. I loved it. It's so good. It's so fucking good. And this is one of those, now, again, if you've been on my channel before, you will know that I am a very, generally speaking, a very character-driven person when it comes to the narratives that I enjoy. And whether that be reading a book because I hate the characters, because I'm made to hate the characters, when it's done on purpose. Brain just fell out of me. Like the last Lucy Diamond book that I read, we all saw my rant about a particular character in that one.
I don't give a fuck. His name was Mike.
Fucking Mike.
And you're meant to hate that fucking character, right? Was it the last Lucy Diamond book? Yeah, it was the last Lucy Diamond book that I read. And the headmaster in this made my skin crawl, and I love it when you can hone in on a character and go, awful, awful bastard. Junji Ito, you're a genius, because this little git, rancid, get in the fucking bin. Gross. Brilliantly written. I love people who can write bastards on purpose. That's a bastard. Right there. Makes you want to vomit, makes your skin crawl. Mwah! Perfection. Next up, we do have my favourite book. My favourite story of this book. Think of me what you will when I tell you that, if you decide to read this or if you have read this before, because next up we have The Spirit Flow of Aoki Gahara. And apologies for mispronunciation, I did look it up, and I don't know if it was, I've seen Aoki and Ioki, and I think it's Aoki Gahara. But, yeah, it's 100% my favourite. Again, you can think of me what you will, because this is one of those where it's just like, oh, you're just writing weird little freaks. I love that. It's just weird, man. It's just a weird little story with some weird fucking twinks in it. It's funny as fuck. Again, I think this is meant to be humorous. I think it is meant to be a bit silly, and it's just fucking weird. And I'm like, I love this. Give me those weird glowing twinks. I love it. Good for them. It's weird as shit. I love it so much. I just... It made me have a little giggle. And you know what? When you're reading shit like this, having a little giggle can be quite nice. I love it so much. It's so funny. Mwah. Again. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Beautiful. 10 out of fucking 10. 11 out of 10, quite frankly. For those two twins. I love it so much, man. And finally, we have Slumber. Very much not a funny one. It's one that sits in under your skin, once again, focusing on that psychological element. The idea of not knowing what you're doing. And perhaps this one is one that kind of sat with me as somebody who is, you know, who somebody has been known to dissociate at times. Now, generally, I am not in such a dissociative state that I completely lose where I am. I tend to have some awareness of what's going on, but again, still even then, you know, with some dissociative tendencies, I think that's why this one sat with me, that idea that you could be doing something, because obviously when I do dissociate and I have some awareness of what's going on, there is the part of the back of my head that goes, but what if sometimes you don't? What if sometimes you're just not aware of that? And it's like, well, thank you, brain, you piece of shit. And this book, this story rather, really hit on those fears for me personally. And it's, yeah, it is really good. It's just, yeah, I really liked it. Then what is more to say? It's really fucking good. Also, as a little side note, this isn't the only place that you see this. It features in a fair whack of his books in general, if not a fair whack of his stories. The way Junji Ito does like faces, but they're in darkness, so like in this one it's because the guy's got a hood up, so you can sort of see the shadows of his face, but you can't really make it out. The way he does that is really interesting. He always does it the same way, and there's just there's something really nice about the way that like works. Again, unsurprisingly, quite eerie and spooky and weird, because he's a spooky, yuki, eerie, fucking weird author. And I love him. I think he's fucking brilliant. As you might have noticed, I had an absolutely wonderful time reading all of these, if not being absolutely shit scared. If you are somebody who already knows Junji Ito, you have been reading his books, but you haven't read any of these, absolutely give them a go. There is nothing where I'd go, maybe miss this one. I mean, is it Black Paradox? Again, wasn't my favourite, but just generally, I don't think it went in places that I was... I mean, and I don't mean in that horror takes you in places that you don't expect. It just, I think it went in a different direction than I was kind of hoping for with certain ways that the premise was set up. I thought it was going to be leaning a bit more into the doppelganger element at the beginning, but... And it does, but it doesn't, and it just... Yeah. But on the whole, I would say, if you already know Junji Ito, you can get into these. And if you are not somebody who has read Junji Ito before, but you want to get into them, I would say start with either Censor or perhaps the Liminal Zone. The Liminal Zone has some of the comedy elements. It's far less... Yeah, there's still obviously the visuals that make you go, but less so than perhaps some others. So yeah, the Liminal Zone if you're more of a short story fan, or Censor if you are looking more for a full, like, long form graphic novel. Both of those are good places to start. This was certainly one way to get back into reading again. And I'm so glad, but also, yeah, I'm back reading again. That means I am back reviewing again. And it's going to work a bit differently now. The videos themselves are not going to be any different. This, if you've seen my other stuff, you know, I've gone for an hour. I only plan to go on for about 30 to 45 minutes. But also, I don't know how long this video is going to be after I've edited it. So maybe it will be 30 to 45 minutes. I fucking doubt it, because it's me, and I don't like editing things out, because then you get to see my fun personality, because I'm just like the funniest man on the planet. Anyway, like I say, the videos themselves, they're not going to be super different. I possibly will be focusing on a lot of like really in-depth long-form content, fewer like generally what I'm reading reviews. I'm thinking maybe doing not so much of that, and more focusing on things like Bad Rep Book Club, or doing, I've spoken before about doing deep dives into some books, say like Dracula and Dune, which I didn't get to do in the Iron Maiden video, or doing books, doing videos like that, or there's some book series that I want to try out all sorts of stuff where I've gone, this could be really interesting for me to do. I don't know fully yet on that one, but basically, when I do once or twice a week videos, I have a habit of burning myself out really easily, especially when I'm also going, and also once a month, you're going to do the Bad Rep Book Club. And when you're doing these, you're also going to do the catch up because you're doing stuff that you wanted to get finished with bits, bobs and books, but you had to stop doing that because you were tied up with uni stuff and other stuff and you know, sometimes it be like that. And yeah, basically I've just gone, you guys are getting videos when I make them. It'll be some shorter form, some longer form, and when I say shorter form, I mean like I'm gonna try and do some on here. It'll be shorts on my Instagram, and maybe I'll actually get a TikTok, whatever. Upload some short form content like that, and also the videos like this where it's just like, yeah, no, I won't do a super long video. It's, you know, it'll just be like at most like 30 minutes. It'll be fine. I know that's a long video, but it's like a short video for me. Nope. You get an hour-long videos, my guy. Sometimes I still did 10-minute videos when I was doing it regularly, so sometimes you probably will still get stuff like that, but I think I'm going to stop focusing on doing full, long-form, in-depth reviews because I love doing stuff like that, but some books just harder to do that with. They're good books, they're fine, but they're not worthy of a lot of notes and stuff like that. Whereas, like, nonsense. You know what? Get an insight. Hopefully you can see that. I think that's where my head was. So I'm currently, for Bad Rep Book Club, I'm reading Icebreaker by Hannah Grace because it looked like the most fanfiction bullshit. Okay. It looked like the most fanfiction bullshit I've ever seen. That's going to be a long fucking video. That is chapter 1. And that's all my notes so far. Maybe a bit of chapter 2? Where are we? Sorry, I think I've done 2 chapters. Yes, I'm a terrible, terrible liar, and I've actually done 2 chapters there. But those are like my Twilight notes. And I feel like it's only going to be worse than that. Because I've never read this before. Sorry, my New Moon notes. Because I'd read New Moon before. So there was some stuff that I was kind of skipping over. Because it just felt like I'd already spoken about it, even though I hadn't, which I was very careful about the way I did New Moon. But anyway, this feels like it's going to be a long boy, and I feel like I know this is some like TikTok sensation bullshit. So yeah, look forward to that at some point in the future. That will possibly be my next video. Possibly not, I don't know yet, because I want to do some like reading for me and reading for this, and there's a series I do want to see if I can pick up soon, because I want to do a deep dive into that, because I never read all of it, and I think that would be really interesting. But anyway, yeah, I'm just taking my time now to stop my brain feeling like it's falling out, because I have other shit I want to do as well. I'm currently in the process of trying to actually write the full novella, which I did half of it, which could be a standalone short story, but I always wanted to do a second half for my master's dissertation, and I wanted to turn that into a full novella, and that's what I'm in the process of doing at the minute, and then hopefully finding somewhere to get that published, if I don't decide to go the self-publishing route, which I don't think I will, but maybe I will, I don't know yet. And I want to do art projects. Speaking of art projects, recently I completed this. I don't often talk about my art on my channel, but I want to fucking talk about it because it took me about a month and I'm super fucking proud of it. So, yeah. This is the art that I've been working on at the minute. I also have commissions open. If you would like something that looks like this, or frankly, something that looks like any of these that I will now put on the screen, feel free to contact me on Twitter, which will be in my description. It doesn't have to be to get a commission. It doesn't just have to be wrestling related. It can be your own fandom type stuff. It can be family portrait stuff. I don't just do homoerotic wrestling paintings. Those are just my favourites. But with me going on to a less scheduled upload schedule, a less structured upload schedule, you're going to have to turn your notifications on. So for that, you're going to have to subscribe. And I am still going if there are things that you do want me to read, review, if there are topics within literature that you would like to see me cover, then do let me know in the comments below. Yes, for Bad Rep Book Club, I will look at some more fucking Colleen Hoover, because apparently I'm a fucking masochist. I will do it at some point. I don't want to, but I will. Kill me. Anyway, I'll do that at some point. But for now, I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful night, a wonderful whenever you are watching this. Take care of yourselves. Right.